Yeah, let it be informed by scripture above all. This one is a very quick question that I'm going to fire up very quickly with a quick answer. So for you, you are lucky whoever wrote this question. Your answer is quick. Says, what would you say to a lady who likes a brother and they also seem to show interest, but the brother seems confused, but the brother is engaging the lady online? Are we still talking about the same lady? Even me, I'm confused. Who is writing the question? Anyway, via WhatsApp, and it's confusing. It's causing confusion to her. You send that man a text right now. You say, what are we? You understand your answer. So that one is very simple. So the next question says, I wrestle with the reality that the risk of marriage is high on grounds of we are imperfect and we're sinners. Why pursue marriage when both people are already dealing with their own brokenness? Why add the complexity of marriage? And so you guys, you look at us and you're like, Banang, these guys, they have added complexity to their lives. Anyway, it's okay. Let's hear some answers from the panel. I don't know who would like to go first. All right, yes, sir.
It's a very morbid question. Marriage is a unique place in which God shows his love and care for you in sanctifying you. And also reminds you that it's not about you. And so for the Christian, walking into a marriage thinking, I'm a sinner, I'm marrying another sinner, this is going to be a disaster. It would be a disaster except for the grace of God. And so marriage puts you in a position where it's not about you, you depend on God's good grace to help you love this person, submit to him to lead you, walk together, to do things together, to communicate, all that. You learn to depend on God and you grow in your faith. And when it's done in community, it's really beautiful. So to go into marriage thinking this is going to be a disaster, it means you've not understood what marriage is about. It's about glorifying God as, Christians. It's a reflection, like Eddie said, of Christ and his church, his relationship with his church. It's a beautiful opportunity to experience God and a privilege to love another one of God's creation, someone else, and to do life with someone. For you to be molded, I look back and 15 years ago, I tell him, I don't think I loved you. Now, I love you with everything I have. Because of the things you've been through, you go through so many things and realize God is the one who enables you to keep talking. He tells you, forgive, communicate, love, think about the other person, consider, bear with him. And you learn to love this person the way Christ loves his church. When they're imperfect, they are not, you learn to love the person that God has placed in your life. Yeah, it's a beautiful, so if you go in it thinking that, I'm really sorry, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone wants to add something, maybe one more person. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think in our discourse on marriage, there's a temptation to only hear the hurdles and not ponder the glories. And by the way, I want to recommend, the one who asked that question, I will recommend you a book by John Piper. Some books are free most of his books are free on desiringgod.org. It's called This Momentary Marriage by John Piper. Please check it out. It will blow your ceilings off and your foundations as well. But the idea there is that, to belabor literally what my sister has spoken of, it's glorious to live with a person so different from you and endure so much and yet be able to turn to them and say, I love you, Riona. Now that's more, it has more depth than what my brother called the butterflies, during dating. It has more depth because I think essentially it communicates what Christ is doing for the church. Christ looks at all our filth and says, I love you. And he's saying, you move towards this so that you can image my relationship with the church. Like, if you're not moving in that direction, then you're not pointing to Christ and the church. So that's the theological perspective, but also practically, in a world that transacts, in a world that goes into relationships for what is in it for me, in a world that is casual about relationships, like you hurt me, I'm out, all these excuses that we gave, I don't feel, in the world of feels, I think substance means that more and more, the longer you get married, the more you know what true happiness is. Because you've learned what is permanent, and you're not just being fleeting, because you are eternal in your perspective, and you are building towards some of those things. So I would think, and not to mention the practical realities of raising children. I mean, we have a family, and I look forward to, to go back to them. I'm not my own. I can say the scripture even, yes, theologically, but I can also say it in a real life sense. Like, I head out in town and I know that I am not, literally not my own, because there's people who are looking at me. There's a boy who ran up to me and hugged me. Like, there's also the aesthetic benefits. I know we have a locally, we may want to say, those are peripheral. No, they are there. The fact that you can, you have a mate. One of the biggest consolations, by the way, I have had with Rihanna is sometimes, guys, the world can hit you hard. Are we talking? The world can hit you hard out there. But one of the biggest consolations I have had is that, you know what? In the evening, I'm going to go and talk about this with Rihanna. And that, you have no idea how that soothes you. Back then, you just retire to your bed, your doom scrolling and all of that. But now, I am going to talk to Rihanna. Like, every evening at the couch or at the bed, we have these heavy conversations of what highlighted your day, what weighed on your day. And of course, we don't do it perfectly. Some days we miss, sometimes we're erratic. But it's a consolation of, I will take this home. Do you have an idea what that means? After 11 years of taking things back home to your best friend and saying, and hearing her perspective and her weeping with you and her rejoicing with you. Have you tested that? Do you long for it? I think it's a gift of God, I would bet.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for those beautiful perspectives. Maybe something I'll add is that it's very rich ground for God to cultivate the fruit of the Spirit. Sometimes you think that you're very kind, you're very, very slow to anger, you all the time, yes, But enter that institution and you'll be exposed. You look at stories and hear stories of panic. How could he do that? And then you enter and you're like, how could I do that? I mean, I'm capable of, of saying certain things, of being bitter to a certain extent. So it's a very, very fertile ground for God to cultivate the fruit of the Spirit. And I know for Arthur, who is a recruiter, there's definitely a difference between married men and single men. I'm not decampaigning you from jobs, but what I'm saying is someone who has been tested in that institution, can really say that I have been cultivated in this area to grow in patience in this manner or in the other. So it's also a fertile ground for God to cultivate the fruit of the Spirit. All right.